I was originally going to do this video as a discussion of why new gen anime is hated so much compared to older gen anime, but I couldn't figure out a way to do that without absolutely attacking anybody. Hey, if you're watching this video right when it comes out or in between this date and this date, most likely I'm probably live on Twitch right now, either streaming the new Destiny 2 expansion, The Witch Queen, until Friday, or I will be streaming Elden Ring all weekend long as much as I can. So come check it out, come have fun, come enjoy new games. I hope to see you guys there. Anyways, enjoy the video. And making a discussion. So instead, I'm going to do some anime hot takes that I kind of stemmed from that. And we can just talk about them in the comments below. It's homie talk, so we can kind of talk about anything. This time I'm gonna get a little aggressive with it. So bear with me. If it's something you don't like, let's talk about it. Go in the comments, talk to me about it, explain why you didn't like what I said. But let's start with the first one. If you don't like blank new gen anime because it's too much like other blank old gen anime, you probably don't like the old gen anime. You're just blinded by nostalgia. Now, when I say that, let's use an example of something like Black Clover. Black Clover is a very more mainstream anime that tends to be hated on these times. Usually due to its popularity or just something about, you know, something. But the biggest one that people have is that it's too much like Naruto. And if you, let's change the hot take a little bit, like to add those in. If you don't like Black Clover because it's too much like Naruto, and that's your sole reason for hating it, you probably don't like Naruto. And let me explain that. So Black Clover, I will agree, it has a lot of tones that Naruto has, but it's still good, and it still does it for a reason. Naruto has, you know, the tuning exams. It has its MC with a full dream and end goal that in Naruto we do see come to full circle and fruition, and he does become the Hokage like he says he wants to be. We have yet to see Asta become the Wizard King, but I can't imagine Black Clover ends without him becoming the Wizard King. But too many people say, you know, oh, all the characters are the same, there are a lot of arcs the same, and I would give you that sometimes, but I would only give it to you because it's Black Clover having this struggle to identify itself as what it really wanted to be in the beginning, and that's why it does a lot of things of the MC and the tuning exam type deal. It uses those as stepping stones to kind of identify itself and find its own stride, and that's what it does later on, and it becomes, you know, one of the better new gen animes and mangas out here. Now granted, it does take a while, I will say. For me, Black Clover took a long time to get good, but when it got good, it got really good. But that's my first hot take, really. It's nothing too crazy because you see it with like My Hero, which it's crazy. You see it with Fire Force, you see it with basically any new gen anime, and it has another theory. I have another theory about it, where we're still in this transition to a new generation of manga and anime that I guess people my age and a little bit older that came from like Dragon Ball Z, the Big Three, Sailor Moon, and things like that aren't really accepting of, which is kind of weird because it happened then too, with a lot of people who were into, you know, the 80s animes like Fist of the North Star and Ninja Scroll and things like that, and it's just people not really accepting change, and those people tend to be the most vocal, and that's the people we're going to see the most, and it sucks to see, but in the end we're going to enjoy what we want to enjoy, and a lot of us kind of do it in silence, which sucks because a lot of those people who really bring those bad names and make these hot takes really seem like a what do you mean it's a hot take? It kind of makes like it's like a common sense thing. Seem like a actual hot take. So that's the first one. If you don't like this new gen anime because it's like an old anime, you probably don't like the old anime. You're just a little blinded by nostalgia. But that's the first one. Let me know what you guys think about that one in the comments below. Let's talk about it, but let's also jump into the second hot take. Your favorite anime or manga is not peak fiction. Now, when I say that, this is purely a biased standpoint. It's obviously all going to go off of bias. It's going to go off of opinion, but you gotta do something about those opinions. A lot of your opinions, a lot of people's opinions, especially the ones that say it multiple times, are actually insane. One you will see the absolute most. Two, actually, I'll give you two because I've been guilty of saying this sometimes. You will see One Piece is peak fiction, and you will see JoJo's is peak fiction. No. No. They're not. Every anime has something that is... Every anime or manga has something that is, you know... For a lot of people, even those people who say One Piece is peak, they're gonna say Skypiea was mid. Or they're gonna not like X character. It's gonna happen. There's gonna be something you don't like about it. There's gonna be something bad. If it was peak, it would be 10 out of 10 from episode 1 to current, from episode 1 to end. One Piece has some downsides. JoJo's, my favorite anime and manga of all time, has some downsides. I'm gonna say it. This is a hot take for some people. I think part 3 is one of the worst parts of JoJo's. I genuinely do. I think part 3 Jotaro, specifically part 3 Jotaro, is one of the most boring characters for me. The edgelord doesn't like to show emotion type deal was one of the most boring things he ever did. And he flourishes in parts 4 and 6 a lot more than he does in part 3, and he becomes a much better character for those things. That's why I still like Jotaro, but if you talk to me about part 3 Jotaro, I'm going to tell you I don't like him. I'm going to tell you I'm not a big fan of him. Part 3 is cool. There's a lot of cool characters. I just don't like the pacing. I don't like the enemies. It just doesn't help it at all. It doesn't really. But I am going to talk about JoJo's in a future video later that we can talk about. But for now, back to the hot take. Nothing's really peak fiction. The closest that is universally agreed upon in a lot of the anime and manga community for people that have read it or experienced it is Berserk, but there's still some, you know, boring parts like Isidro. He's a little annoying. He has some good moments, but he's a little annoying. But that's the closest thing that people can universally agree on that is peak fiction. And even then, there's going to be, you know, people who are like, well, there's this, and then there's going to be, you know, the people who haven't read or watched any of it and say it's trash. But those people don't count. Remember that. If they haven't seen it or tried it, those people who give you opinions on an anime or manga, they don't count. Peak doesn't exist. Peak fiction doesn't exist. You can think something's peak. You can give your opinion that something's a 10 out of 10. But you know it's not truly a 10 out of 10 because there are going to be dull moments. If you can find an anime that has 0 dull moments for you, that's great. Peak fiction is going to tend to be an opinion-based thing. This is getting to biased again, but factually, there's never going to be a peak fiction series. Anime or not, there's not going to be a peak fiction series. There's always going to be at least something wrong with it. There's going to be one thing weird about it. Tokyo Ghoul, there's 2 seasons after season 1. I'm wrong about it. But it's one of the most popular things you see. It's one of the most popular things. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Tell me about that. And let's get on to our final hot take for this video. Your favorite anime is not underrated. This goes hand in hand with the peak fiction hot take, but there's no such thing as an underrated anime. You can think it's underrated. You just don't talk to the people who like the anime, or you just don't talk to people at all. For a manga to get an anime, it has to already be popular. It has to have some sort of popularity to it. A studio or a merchandising company has to see some sort of popularity in it. It has to have some notoriety. They don't just get a nothing manga that is selling, you know, 10 copies a week or 10 copies a volume, you know, and they just pick it up and like, yep, anime right here. No, they don't. A lot of studios pick up mangas and turn them into animes because they're popular. Attack on Titan, super popular. Anime. The big 3, they were destroying manga sales. They were keeping Shonen Jump on their back. And that's big reasons why they got animes, because they were popular. Things need to have some sort of financial gain for a studio to pick them up. So in actual reality, no anime is underrated because it was popular enough to get an anime. But if you want to go into it further, you know, maybe it doesn't get the more views than the most popular anime or the mainstream animes. That's because they're bigger. They're owned by bigger studios. They get more advertisement. Sometimes it happens. It happens. But also, you gotta talk about your favorite animes. Sometimes a lot of people will just go out, have zero social media interaction, and just immediately their first interaction is, oh, blank anime is underrated, and not explain anything. If blank anime was underrated, it would be like, you know, a 9 out of 10 anime that gets 3 views a week, which then it wouldn't get extra episodes because it's not getting views, it's not making money. But just talk to people. If you talk to people, I guarantee you they probably like that anime. They probably like whatever anime you're talking about. If they don't know what it is, tell them about it. If you think your anime is underrated, talk to people and spread the word about it. Make sure it's not underrated so it can get like a second season. It can get a spin-off. It can get a sequel. It can get something by the same creator. Case in point, anytime a mainstream anime is out there, you go to a comment section, someone talking about it, they're going to say, oh, something's better. You've never heard about it. You've never heard about it. That doesn't mean it's underrated. That doesn't mean it's, you know, worse. It just means that nobody talks about it. Find somebody who talks about it. A lot of this hot take in this one specifically is that talk to people. That's all it is. And I know it's gonna be hard for a lot of this anime community. Talk to people. Just talk to people. They like anime. Talk to someone who likes anime. They probably know about it. If they don't, they'd love to add it to the list. I know a lot of the memes of anime watchers is that there's a list of like 300 animes that we have to watch. They're probably gonna add it to that list though. And usually if you tell them more recently, they'll probably watch that one first because it's in their head. It's in their recency. And once you figure out that all you have to do is talk to people and you can find people who like anime that you like, you'll figure out that nothing's underrated. A lot of people know what you're talking about. Like, it's not hard. Listen, people. Listen. A big deal for these last 2 hot takes. The peak fiction one and the nothing is underrated one. Talk to people, please. I'm begging you. Listen. Hands together. I'm in my chair, but I'm on my knees. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody, and I swear to you, they probably know what anime you're talking about. If they haven't seen it, they've probably heard of it, or if they haven't heard of it, tell them about it. Spread the word. Spread the gospel. Spread the gospel if you want. Who cares? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be 100% with you. I still haven't found another person who's watched Blade of the Immortal. Still top 3 anime for me ever. Do I consider it underrated? No. This is the second anime it's gotten. You know how popular something has to be to get a second anime? It got a reboot. It got a second re-release of an omnibus manga. It's popular. It has it. I just haven't found people out there. That's okay. But anyways, let me know what you guys consider. Listen, this is another one. What do you guys consider peak fiction? What do you guys technically consider underrated anime and manga that you think people don't talk about, or you haven't found anybody that talks about them? Let me know. Let me know. If you guys have any hot takes in the comments below, drop them in the comments. If I get enough, I definitely want to make a part 2 where I check out your guys' comments and see what kind of shenanigans you guys are trying to talk about. But also, you know, talk amongst each other in the comments below. If you guys see a comment that you kind of want to talk to them about, talking about it. If they have a hot take that you think is insane and you want to call them out, let's discuss in the comments below. Let's get a dialogue going. But if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.